People, welcome to the garage. Tonight, high voltage, fire, and wood. What could be manlier than that, I ask you? We are going to make some Lichtenberg fractal images today, and we're going to make them by burning the crap out of some wood with lots of electricity. There's the wood. How are we going to do it? Well, I'm glad you asked, except I'm not going to tell you exactly for a few reasons. Firstly, the information is out there on the internet on how to build this, and it's readily available. And secondly, I want nothing to do with it. If you die, melt off a finger, shock yourself out of our space-time continuum, or burn your house down. This is a modified microwave transformer with some homemade electrode prod things, and it's powered by standard North American outlet power. 120 volts in, 2000 volts out, and it's quite dangerous. You see, you don't want to have any part of yourself in the middle of that energy transfer. So if you're going to try this yourself, my advice is quite simple. Just don't. Anyways, let's get started. The first thing we need to do to burn a Lichtenberg fractal, and by the way, I don't know why it's called a fractal. It's most certainly not a fractal. By definition, a fractal requires mathematical repeatability, and there's nothing constant or repeatable about this. This is random, unpredictable, and entirely uncontrollable. You turn it on, you turn it off. That is the extent of your control. Anyway, for us to be able to do this successfully, we have to make the wood more conductive than it is by default. As you know, wood is not very conductive by itself, hence why my electrode handles here are made out of wood. By the way, it's all turned off now. However, if we soak some of this into it, and this is just baking soda and water mixed together, we can allow parts of that wood to be conductive enough to let the voltage travel through it, which is exactly what we want to do. Now, there are some tricks to it. You got to get the mix of fluid just right. I have not found a place where anybody has confirmed a good mix yet, so I've mixed some baking soda with some water, and this is what I came up with. You also want to make sure you aren't using too much. If you end up with a puddle, that's too much. If it runs off, it's too much. What's going to happen if you have too much is you're just basically going to short it out. The electricity is going to travel through the water, not through the wood. What you want to do is add conductivity to the wood, and while the wood is acting as a resistor, and that will allow it to burn the wood as it finds its path of least resistance from one electrode to the other. And for that to happen, you must let the wood soak up some of the fluid, and you must dry off the excess. If it's going to run off, you need to dry it. Now, we have let this wood soak for a few minutes, and we don't want to let it dry completely out either. If you try this, this is where you're going to spend most of your time experimenting, trying to find the right mix of fluid and the right amount of fluid to use. You can do this with pretty much any wood, but you'll find some are more absorbent than others. The easiest to get working with this quickly is actually a cheap semi-finished plywood like this one. The thin veneer on top is perfect to absorb your fluid, and off to the races you go. And once you're happy with your saturation here, fire it up. Ooh, can you smell what the volts are cooking? I'm just going to put an electrode on one end and an electrode on the other, and you'll see it burn. And there it goes. Now it seems to be fizzling out a little bit there. We can either move the prods a little bit, the electrodes, which I'm going to do here, and I'll put the other one here and see if we get some electric conductivity going again, or if not, we might have to add a little bit more fluid to it. Let's add some more fluid to it. Now I'm going to put these down, turn it off. Let's add a little more fluid to our sponge or brush here. Just kind of want to get it to connect from there to there. So I'm trying to kind of give it a pathway approximately to what I want. Like I said before, it is fairly random. It'll do its own thing, but we'll see what we can come up with. Oh, let's let that soak for just another moment. Now that that's soaked again for another minute or two, let's try it one more time here. Just going to turn things back on. And we're going to reconnect. Let's pick it up here and see what happens. There we go. It's really shorting out there, and it's hard on the eyes. I would highly recommend using protective goggles, or at the very least, tinted sunglasses with an impact rating. I'll try and put another one over here. Well, I think that's actually pretty good right there. So let's turn this thing off and see what we come up with. And finally, to finish it all off, I douse it with the leftover mix of baking soda and water. And I do this because the mix does stain the wood slightly, and I'd rather it all be stained evenly rather than splotchy. If you don't do it, you're going to get some lines and spots where you wet it the first time. So I rinse it out with the remaining baking soda and water mix. I scrub it with a mild wire brush to clean out the grooves, and also to move that water around and make sure the stain gets evened out, and then rinse it off with water. Just regular water. Wash that charcoal and burn away as best you can. You can hit it with some sandpaper afterwards, but the difficulty with that is you will lose some of your fine detail when you're complete. But that's basically it. Here we go. Don't do the cleaning stage at your workstation. If you have conductive fluid soaking into your workstation, you may not know it, you might not see it, but it could be there, and you could end up electrifying something you don't intend to. So do this away from your workstation where you're performing the burn.